Bonjour, and welcome back to Bloomera Podcast, or should I say your Bloomera. I'm your host, Brienne, and today we are talking about how to reinvent yourself in 90 days. I am here to help you show up as the best version of yourself and to help you bridge the gap between who you were and who you are becoming. This is part 4 in the Seasons of Growth series, a journey of growth and transformation. In this podcast series, we've been exploring the ultimate roadmap for personal growth, walking through each season of transformation. We began with letting go to grow in the season of death, where we released the past to make space for the future. Next was rebirth, where we embraced transformation even if it felt like devastation, and rebuilt ourselves and our lives with intention. Then, in rooting, we focused on doing the inner work, planting the foundation for sustainable change. Now, in this season of sprouting, we are bridging the gap between who you've been and who you are becoming. In today's episode, I will offer you actionable steps for visible change, a plan for meaningful progress over the next 3 months, and ways to navigate the discomfort that naturally comes with growth. We'll also talk about managing your social circle's reactions, setting boundaries, ditching self-doubt, and finding your authentic voice. If you are following along on YouTube or Spotify, you will be able to screenshot some resources to help you throughout this video. The link for my YouTube will be below in the episode description if you want to get those resources. Whether you've been with me throughout this entire series of growth, or if this is the first episode that you're tuning into, this is your time to enter your bloom era. Get ready to step into your best self yet. And don't forget to check out the previous episodes of this series to get the full impact. Each season builds on the last, so you won't want to miss out on the tools and insights that we've already covered. That doesn't mean that you can't tune into this episode, but death, letting go, rebirth, and rooting are essential steps in order for you to grow and truly transform your life. And it's also essential that you know this. Snakes only shed their skin to become bigger snakes. We aren't going back to where we used to be. We can't, because we are growing, outgrowing spaces that we no longer fit into, and outgrowing parts of ourselves that no longer serve us, just like the snake sheds old skin. Because honestly, it takes more energy to try to fit into spaces that you have outgrown. This is a new space. It makes sense that you don't feel comfortable. You are out of your element, but that isn't a bad thing. These are growing pains, and I know that the beginning stages of growth can feel a lot like Bambi's first steps. You might feel awkward and unsure of yourself as you start showing up as this new version of yourself. But you're doing it, and I want to support you in that. And because I know how overwhelming it can be at times, I've done a lot of the work for you. I created a Seasons of Growth email challenge, where every 2 weeks throughout the series, you receive a customized set of journal prompts, positive affirmations, song recommendations, quotes, and more related podcasts for whichever season of growth you are in. You can download my Seasons of Growth planner for free or purchase a physical copy through my website. All of those links will be included in the episode description. These are designed to guide you through the seasons with a little bit more ease, so you know what steps to take next, and you aren't just stuck to fend for yourself throughout all of this. Whether you choose to utilize my Seasons of Growth planner or email challenge, what I really want to drive home here is that you have to be dedicated to your growing and healing. It's not enough to visualize, want, or desire these things for yourself. You actually have to take the steps to get you there. Like I mentioned, this season of growth, sprouting, is about bridging the gap between who you were and who you are becoming. You're starting to see change and progress in your life, and maybe some others are starting to notice it too. But let's be real, you're not quite comfortable or confident in this new skin of yours, in this new era of you. And that's okay. The important thing is, here you are, a changed version of yourself in this world, or at least trying to be. This is exactly how you begin to embody who you want to be. Trying. It's about living as this new version of yourself. Doing what this new version of yourself does every day, every week, every month to achieve those long-term results that you're looking for. And that transformation you are seeking. In the last episode, we talked about starting small, and in this episode, we are leaning even more into that. It's time for small, actionable steps. For those of you who haven't been using my Seasons of Growth Planner or who haven't joined the email challenge, don't worry. I'll reference some of the work that we've already been doing, but you'll still be able to follow along and take action with me today. If you're interested, there is a link below to download the Seasons of Growth Planner with the goal setting page, or you can just grab a piece of paper and write all of it down. You can also screenshot some of the resources coming up if you're watching over on YouTube or Spotify, and again, that link will be in the episode description for you. Today, we are going to map out the changes that we want to see in our everyday lives, in our routines, our behaviors, and our habits. If you've already built your vision board that we talked about in previous episodes, this is when it's going to come in handy. And if you haven't, again, don't worry, you can still move forward. Just make sure that you keep your own visions of who you want to be in the forefront of your mind as we're working through this. We are going to set a new daily goal, a new weekly goal, a new monthly goal, and a bonus 3-month goal. But here's the twist. We are going to work backwards to support your long-term goal. It's okay if your short-term goals don't perfectly align with your longer-term goal, but this is how we ensure our visions remain at the forefront of our planning. So let's start with a 3-month goal. Consider and screenshot the following questions. What changes do you want to see in your life? What transformation do you want the most? You can pick 1 or 2 things since we have 3 months to reach this goal, but remember, we are starting small. You can add in more goals along the way once you've developed more self-trust and confidence in your capability to complete goals. Consider 3 goals or projects that could help get you there. These can be your monthly project goals. With each month's project goal, what are 4 tasks that could help you reach that goal? These will be your weekly task goals. Then take a look at those weekly tasks and consider what daily habits would help you achieve those tasks. For example, if your overall focus is relationships, maybe you are seeking more connections or you've been isolating yourself like we talked about in the last season of growth rooting. Your 3-month goal could be to build a stronger support system or pouring into the one you already have. A monthly project goal could be to try and meet someone new or practice setting a boundary with somebody you already have in your life each month. That boundary could be as simple as telling someone no to a plan or an idea. If you know you have bigger boundaries to set, don't worry, I'll talk much more in depth about boundaries later in this episode, and even offer many examples of exactly what to say to set those boundaries. And going deeper, your weekly tasks could be to make a plan with someone you know and love. Maybe it's a date night after the kids go to bed, watching your favorite show together, dinner, or a FaceTime date with a friend. This is spending quality time with someone you care about each week, making an effort and making that connection. And then your daily habits could be to ensure you're having 1 meaningful connection per day. I have a spot in my Seasons of Growth Planner for a daily meaningful connection because I truly believe it's that important to have each day. Even if it's just a quick text to someone you care about, letting them know you're thinking about them and sending them love. Or maybe your overall focus is your hobbies or a passion. Your 3-month goal might be to become a regular reader or start a new hobby. And your monthly project could be to join a book club in your area or online. I have a Feminine Rage book club that I'll be sure to link below for you. If you want to start or strengthen a hobby, maybe this looks like joining a new class each month, like a painting class or whatever else interests you. Your weekly tasks could be to read and learn more about your hobby for 2 hours each week. This can be done by focusing on it for 30 minutes, 4 days of the week. Put this as your weekly task so you have more flexibility, because I know we could use a little bit more of that in our lives. Then your daily habit could be setting screen-free times or boundaries with known distractions for you. You can use my episode on the digital detox if that's something you're interested in. I have strong boundaries surrounding phones, social media, and screen time for myself. It's something that I encourage for everyone. And my last example will be an overall focus of improving your relationship with self. Maybe your 3-month goal is something like improved self-esteem, self-love, or confidence in yourself. Those monthly projects could be something that puts you outside of your comfort zone. I'll offer some suggestions in the next section of this episode, but it might be as easy as joining a new class or going out to eat alone. Your weekly tasks could be dedicating 1 hour to self-care. And remember, self-care isn't just bubble baths or face masks. though those can be great options if that's what feels right for you. Maybe you're doing an hour of therapy, or maybe it's an hour out in nature. This can change each week and probably should, depending on what you need in that moment. If you aren't sure what you need, I suggest getting feelings and needs cards to help you. These are a wonderful tool to help you begin to identify your feelings and needs. You can see mine on the screen right now if you're watching over on YouTube or Spotify, and they will be linked in the comments for you to check out on your own. There is a free printable version as well. Your daily habits could be journaling, even if it's just 15 minutes. This can easily be done using my Seasons of Growth planner. Again, if you're watching this over on YouTube or Spotify, you can see my daily reflections page on the screen. Whatever your goal map looks like, start small. Focus on each small change at a time. And as you start to make small changes in your life, it'll become a lot easier to make the larger ones. It's like a snowball effect. You gain more confidence, motivation, and momentum to start making more positive changes in your life. The daily changes will encourage you to make weekly changes, and then monthly changes. And the outcome of all of that is the positive transformation that you want. And I know that those changes aren't going to feel comfortable at first. We are going to work on being comfortable with being uncomfortable, and not the kind of uncomfortable that makes you feel disrespected, icky, or uncomfortable in spaces you don't want to fit in anymore. I'm talking about the kind of discomfort that comes with trying new things, going new places, and being this new version of yourself. You are stepping outside of your comfort zone. You'll feel out of your element at first, and it's going to be uncomfortable. That all makes sense. But don't let that hold you back from becoming the best version of yourself or building the life that you want for yourself. Leaving your comfort zone will allow you to access new parts of yourself that you wouldn't be able to access from your comfort zone. It allows you to gain new knowledge, new experiences. And this all leads to confidence and the freedom to live more authentically. Fear might follow you through these seasons of growth as we step outside of what we've become familiar with and the spaces and person we've become familiar with being, because we are stepping outside of what is familiar or what has become comfortable for us. Even if it's not our ideal life, it's what has become comfortable and predictable to us. To leave that and start living the life that you want, it's going to cost you a little bit of comfort. Take micro risks, not actual risks like something that might put you in danger or cause you to get hurt, but small things that feel just a little bit uncomfortable, like going out to eat by yourself. This is such a challenging thing for most people to do. I challenged myself to do this when I was doing deep inner work. And I can tell you it felt really uncomfortable. And you can't just go and sit on your phone the entire time. Be okay with being alone. Talk to some people if you feel like being social. Notice your surroundings, taste your food, and I mean really taste it. No distractions. Too often we are distracting ourselves while eating. We're scrolling through our phone or watching TV. We aren't present with ourselves, the food, the taste, or the sensations, the full experience. Or try something new. Try going somewhere new. Go to a new event. Join a new book club. I have a virtual one if you're interested. Or you can try a new outfit that reflects the style that you want to embody. Break free from your usual patterns or routines. Whatever feels exciting or fun, embrace it as a chance to push yourself towards growth and becoming that version of yourself that you want to be. These little steps outside of your comfort zone help you to build your tolerance to the unfamiliar, the uncertainty, and the change you are seeking. Or maybe your micro risk is signing up for a class to learn something new or start a new hobby, like painting, guitar, or dance. Something you have little to no experience with, because just being a beginner at anything feels a little risky. You're almost guaranteed to make mistakes, to not be as good as somebody who has more experience, or to just feel silly doing something new with those new hobbies, those new experiences, and this new version of yourself. Navigating growth and transformation isn't about doing it perfectly or without stress. It's about learning to coexist with the challenges around us. Society, systems of oppression, and ingrained conditioning within us don't just disappear because we've changed. But that doesn't mean that we have to accept them. It means that we challenge them, resist them, and become the change that we want to see in this world. Remember, your existence as your authentic self is a form of resistance. Choosing to be who you truly are, not who society or others expect you to be, is a powerful act of defiance and courage. Mistakes and failures are inevitable along the way, but they do not define you. As Michelle Obama reminds us, failure is a part of the process. You just have to learn to pick yourself back up. Every setback is an opportunity to grow, a step closer to success. Thomas Edison puts it perfectly. Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. So forgive yourself for the missteps and the mistakes, both the ones in the past and the ones that are still to come. Growth is messy, and that is okay. Instead, embrace those moments of perceived failures as lessons to learn from, as experience gained, and a small part of your whole journey. You're not aiming for perfection. You're building resilience, learning, and becoming stronger with every single challenge you face. This will be especially important because along the way, you'll likely experience some feelings of self-doubt. Feelings of embarrassment, discomfort, failure, or judgment, even if it's just self-judgment. We have to remember that everyone experiences these things as they begin something new, from those starting new habits or those entering a new era of their lives. Those feelings can become one of the biggest roadblocks on our way to transformation and reinvention if we allow them to control us. They show up as what-if thought seeds. If you haven't been following along with the entire series, we've addressed a lot of these limiting beliefs or negative stories that we're telling about ourselves earlier in this series. About when those stories start to tell you that you're too much, too difficult, too broken, or maybe that you're not good enough, smart enough, talented enough, or worthy enough. I've talked about how these thoughts are like seeds planted in your brain. And the more we continue to think about them, the more we continue to water them and help them grow. The thought seeds I'm focusing on in this episode are the what ifs. What if I embarrass myself? What if I fail? What if people judge me? What if I make mistakes? What if I'm not good enough, strong enough, whatever enough? And to work through them, I have an exercise for you. If you're in a safe position to write at this moment, please do. You can physically write it out on a sheet of paper, or you can just type it into your phone. If you're driving or doing laundry, you can come back and do this later. We are going to do a 5-minute brain dump, working through all of these what ifs. Normally when I encourage brain dumps, we don't look at it, but we are going to this time. Write down all of the what ifs, and it's okay if you can't go a full 5 minutes. Feel free to pause and work on that now or return to this later. Then we are going to look at those through the lens of self-compassion. Or if that's too hard right now, consider what you would tell a loved one or one of your closest friends if they came to you with these thoughts. Change those what ifs to something positive. For example, what if I embarrass myself turns to what if I am a human who makes mistakes? Or what if I can build resilience for the next time? The what if I fail thought becomes what if I learn? What if I gain the experience and skills needed to do a little bit better next time? The what if somebody judges me thought becomes what if that person doesn't have the capacity to see what I'm working on or the ways I'm growing because they don't believe in it themselves? Or what if this person isn't as supportive or as kind as I thought? Maybe it's what if I'm just judging myself? Whatever what ifs, worries, or limiting beliefs come up in your brain dump, we have to address them before we can move forward. We can do this through positive self-talk. And I know that that is so much easier said than done. Like, where do I start? How do I practice? And what happens if I don't believe it while I'm practicing? Don't worry, you know I've got you with all of the actionable steps. Here are several practices that I use personally to practice positive self-talk. 1, talk to yourself like you're your own best friend and biggest cheerleader. How would you respond to a friend who was expressing these thoughts? What would you tell them? 2, practice gratitude. I've mentioned this in a few episodes and have an entire episode on this. The key here for me is practicing gratitude towards yourself, saying you are grateful for your strength, your intelligence, your honesty, or whatever other positive qualities you have. Celebrate them. I will include an episode on my nightly gratitude practice that incorporates this for you to dive in deeper. 3, positive affirmations. I spoke in the last episode, The Season of Rooting, about neuroplasticity, or the ability to rewire your thoughts from negative to positive. This can be done through positive affirmations. My Seasons of Growth planner prompts me every day to pick out a new one. Then I make sure to repeat it to myself every time I see a mirror, which is every time I go to the bathroom and wash my hands. Here are a few positive affirmations that help me. Take a moment and repeat them back to yourself. I am learning and growing every single day. My new life requires me to release old ways. This is the best self-work I've ever done. I am capable of doing new things. I am brave enough to take these chances. These all help me beat the what ifs, negative self-talk, or imposter syndrome that can come up. And speaking of imposter syndrome, becoming aware of any imposter syndrome that you might have and overcoming that will help you speak a little bit more kindly to yourself. We all feel like imposters or frauds from time to time, especially when we're trying out something new, trying to be someone new. If you're feeling like a fraud right now or like an imposter trying to live this life that you want, I will include a link to my episode on overcoming imposter syndrome. And I have another actionable step that you can take right now to help you overcome imposter syndrome. Seek evidence of change in yourself, in your life, in your surroundings. Ask yourself, have you grown? And I'm not asking how much you've grown, just have you grown? Think of how much you've grown and overcome in the past year, in the past 5 years. Celebrate how much you have grown. This mindset will help you begin to overcome the feelings of being an imposter in this life you want to build, in this life you deserve. One of the most important factors for personal growth is your mindset. Your mindset is the foundation of how you view yourself. It is a set of beliefs that you have established for and about yourself that can impact how you show up in the world. Your mindset can have a powerful influence over your life, which is why you need to tend to it when it's looking a little wilty or sad. Those beliefs that you have are like stories that play in your head. They place a filter over how you view yourself, your abilities, and the qualities that you have. When these stories are positive and compassionate, they can allow you to move through life in a much more confident and empowered way. Carol Dweck, one of the world's leading researchers on mindset, said, individuals with more of a fixed mindset believe that their intellectual abilities are simply fixed. They tend to approach learning with the goal of looking smart, and they often shy away from challenges because they believe that having to work hard at something or making mistakes means that they don't have high ability. Those with more of a growth mindset, on the other hand, believe that abilities can be developed. They are more likely to see effort as something that propels learning and to see setbacks as opportunities to build new skills. This is what it looks like to be cultivating a growth mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that we can grow, learn, and develop our abilities, skill, and intelligence. We can do this through routine effort and practice. A growth mindset is also the belief that you can take on new challenges, face difficulties, and learn from failure. It's not about being comfortable. It's about pushing yourself in new ways and overcoming any growing pains that come your way and viewing setbacks as an opportunity for more growth. And having a growth mindset, practicing positive self-talk, and taking on new challenges is only going to set you up to build more confidence. Mel Robbins defines confidence as the willingness to try. It's not a feeling or a trait. It's a skill that can be practiced. It's a habit you can form by pushing past fears, excuses, perfectionism, and procrastination. And confidence is triggered by trying. Confidence is triggered by the willingness to try. It helps me to know that confidence isn't just something that comes naturally to everyone. It takes dedication and courage to build confidence. And the good news is, we have already made a plan earlier in this episode that will help you practice confidence through that willingness to try. As a survivor of domestic violence, I know how it feels to lose your voice. And as a podcast host currently ranked in the top 5% globally, I know how to go about finding your voice again. So let's talk about it. But I also want you to know I have an entire episode on this called The Art of Expressing Yourself, how to use your voice and overcome your fear of speaking up, with Stacey Ann Parrish. It was a powerful episode, and I highly suggest you check it out after this one. It's one of my most popular episodes, along with my episode on how to share your stories safely. This is especially important when using your voice to speak about past traumas or negative experiences with others. Those episodes will be linked below for you. But in this episode, we are going to begin finding our voice by first identifying your needs. It helps to know what your needs are before you start communicating them or using your voice. I have these feelings and needs cards. You can see them on the video if you're watching over on YouTube or Spotify. If not, don't worry, I will have the info linked in the episode description for you to check out. You can purchase decks like I have here or print off your own set for free. It's an incredibly helpful tool to help you identify your needs, especially if you don't know where to start. And we can't talk about finding your voice without also talking about when you feel like it's not safe to be seen or heard. Even though I've found my voice, built this platform to use it on, and feel comfortable generally using it in everyday life, I recently experienced a sexual assault after speaking up against racism, sexism, and jokes about violence against women. After that, I no longer felt like it was safe to be seen or heard. So I completely get it if that's how you feel. That experience felt like it was validating my past fears of speaking up and being heard. And that fear took over my life for well over a year after the assault. But it's not my natural state to stay quiet in situations like that, or to remain quiet at all. It took more energy and caused me emotional and mental pain to keep quiet about what happened, and quiet in my work. I even developed a secondary stress disorder, a physical disorder from this assault, and the silencing that came after. Silencing yourself can be a survival tactic. It can be hard to break, change, or choose when to use this survival tactic. It helps to acknowledge the part of you that doesn't feel safe, the part of you that is protecting you, maybe from judgment, rejection, or pain. By acknowledging and even, dare I say, loving that part of yourself, you can also start to love the part of yourself that wants to speak up, be seen, be heard, and understood. Things we all deserve. We can't heal these parts of ourselves by repressing or rejecting them. We heal them by acknowledging them and saying thank you for doing your job protecting me, but I got it from here. Every part plays a role in safety or survival, but not all parts need to take over or control your life. If this is really resonating with you, I'll link an additional exercise to identify the part of you that is playing a role in your inability to speak up. My guest, Cynthia Noy, walks you through a powerful exercise to identify and speak to this part of yourself. You don't have to question yourself, your worth, or your voice anymore. You don't have to be afraid of standing out. I understand that blending in feels safer, but it requires more work to repress parts of yourself, not stand up for yourself, or be true to yourself. Or maybe you're worried that people will abandon or criticize you for speaking up. But ask yourself, if you are being true to yourself and someone rejects that, is that someone you really want in your life? Is that someone you really want to trust their opinion over your own? And then use discernment. When you find yourself struggling to speak up in a situation, ask yourself, is this situation worth it? Will it change anything? Does this person matter? Are they capable and ready to handle this? Not everyone can meet you where you are. If not, find someone you can turn to vent and process it. You can also practice using your voice in small ways, with safe people in safe situations. Your voice is like a muscle that needs to be used to be strengthened. Whatever you choose to do, I hope that you will feel safe enough to finally be seen, to share your voice, your opinions, and your true self with others. Not every space or person is safe, but remember, those are places and people that you don't need to be around. Don't force yourself to fit in when it doesn't feel safe. Let's talk about another part of ourselves that often needs to be examined and released: the good girl or good person identity. This ties directly into how we find and use our voice, because the two are usually at odds. Once we've begun to speak up for ourselves, we might realize that this old identity, rooted in people-pleasing, self-abandonment, and self-sacrifice, is still holding us back. Holding on to this identity can lead to anger, resentment, guilt, and shame. For many of us, especially women, we've been taught to be small, quiet, and compliant, to never truly be seen or heard. This isn't just personal, it's systemic. Society has indoctrinated us with the belief that our worth comes from how much we serve others, how much we give, or how good we are. But here's the truth. Playing small doesn't serve anyone. Sure, it feels safe, it feels familiar, maybe even comfortable, but you deserve so much more than that. You deserve to be seen, heard, appreciated, and celebrated. So it's about time we unpack this identity together. If this resonates, I encourage you to revisit my episode on how to stop playing small and start living authentically. In that episode, I talked about what it means to play small, why we do it, and actionable steps to step into our own light and be seen. This would also be a great time to revisit my episode on letting go to grow, or the season of death, which can help prune these dead leaves that are draining your energy and holding you back from growing into the best version of yourself. If you have questions or thoughts about dropping this good person identity, please share them with me. Your thoughts could shape an upcoming episode where we talk more about this topic. Either way, remember this: you are allowed to take up space, and you are worthy of being your most authentic self. As you step into this new version of yourself, finding your voice, expressing yourself authentically, and letting go of people-pleasing, you may notice something else uncomfortable: the way your social circle reacts to this new version of you. Your relationships may shift. The dynamics that you once had might feel different, and how you show up in those relationships might look different too. Not everyone will celebrate this change, and that's okay. In fact, it's kind of expected. Growth can sometimes highlight the gaps between where you're headed and where others choose to remain. Sometimes being the black sheep in a group, whether that's family, friends, or coworkers, means standing out as someone who's committed to their healing and growth. It can feel isolating when others resist change or refuse to accept your new way of being. But here's the truth. Being accepted by people who are unwilling to heal or grow isn't something you need to aim for. Realizing that is powerful. Accepting their rejection often means that you've outgrown toxic patterns or behaviors that no longer serve you. Breaking these cycles, especially ones ingrained from a young age, isn't easy, but it's absolutely necessary. It's how you step into empowerment, align with your true self, and create a life that supports your growth. Healing and growth is about stepping away from what holds you back, even if that means letting go of relationships that can't evolve with you. That isn't just change, that's transformation. And now I'm going to share one of the most powerful tools for maintaining this transformation: boundaries. Boundaries help protect your energy, reinforce your values, and create the space that you need to grow into the best version of yourself. They aren't just about saying no, they're about saying yes to what truly serves you. Let's get into how setting and truly honoring your boundaries can help shape your relationships and support your journey of healing and growth. Healing and growth thrive with boundaries. Boundaries with others and boundaries with ourselves. Without boundaries, we risk self-abandonment, which can lead to resentment, suppressed emotions, and neglecting our own needs. And contrary to popular belief, boundaries don't create conflict. They actually bring clarity to prevent conflict. When boundaries are clear and respected, relationships actually become smoother. You no longer have to guess where the lines are, either yours or theirs. And this mutual understanding just helps things flow easier. Saying no, however, can feel uncomfortable at first. And just like using your voice, saying no is just like a muscle that needs to be used to be strengthened. Setting boundaries requires practice. A helpful reframe is saying no to somebody else can be saying yes to yourself. Once I embraced this mindset, no became one of my favorite words. Not because I enjoy turning people down, but because it feels freeing to prioritize what aligns with who I am and where I want to go in life. Boundaries are healthy, and healthy relationships are built upon them. Feeling guilty for setting boundaries is normal, but unnecessary. Start by forgiving yourself, regardless of whether the other person understands or not. People who truly care about you will eventually come around to respect your boundaries, even if they don't understand them, especially if you explain them with compassion. And remember, setting boundaries is not selfish. It's actually kind. It helps others know how to treat you, what to expect, and what you will or won't tolerate. And one more important note for setting boundaries: don't apologize for them. Sure, you can absolutely apologize if your delivery was harsh or unkind, or out of alignment with your values. But you do not need to apologize for expressing your needs, saying no, or honoring yourself. The other person's reaction to your boundary is theirs to navigate, not yours to carry. For more tips on setting and maintaining boundaries, revisit my episode with Amy Green-Smith, Bold Boundaries, How to Powerfully Say No, Speak Up for Yourself, and Set Strong Boundaries. I'll link it in the episode description for you. I also want to share some lyrics from this Anise song, Free Me. I love myself enough to keep space from you. You don't control me anymore. I'm not the old me. I'm now my own me. Let this be a reminder that boundaries are not just walls. They're bridges to a healthier and freer version of you. Now that we've cleared that up, I have some tips and examples for setting boundaries with compassion and understanding. When setting boundaries, it's important to approach the process thoughtfully and intentionally. Here are a few things to consider to ensure that your boundaries are compassionate, clear, and well received. The first, timing matters. Choose an appropriate time for the conversation if you're not setting a boundary in the moment. Ensure both you and the other person are in a calm and open state of mind, not distracted, emotional, or dealing with a bad day. If needed, you can say, I'd like to talk with you about something important. When would be a good time for you? Planning ahead ensures you have their full attention and helps create a better dialogue. Second, consider their perspective. While it's natural to focus on your feelings when your boundaries are crossed, it's helpful to try and understand why the other person might be resistant. Are they acting out of habit, societal conditioning, or unhealed trauma? Ask yourself, are they aware of how their actions affect me? Are they capable of understanding my perspective? Are they operating out of a place of pain or fear? Understanding these nuances doesn't excuse their behavior, but can guide your approach and set realistic expectations for their response. Third, prepare and practice. Having a script or lines to practice in advance can help you feel more confident. If you're watching this over on YouTube, you'll see examples on the screen to screenshot. I'll also share them on my Instagram at Blumera Podcast. Here are those examples. I'm not in a good headspace right now. Can we revisit this later? Thank you for the offer, but I can't commit right now. I appreciate your input, but I've already made my decision. Please do not discuss my private life with others. I hear that you're upset, but it's not okay to take it out on me. Leading with curiosity and openness can build understanding while maintaining your boundary. Saying things like, I'm curious why you've ignored my request to insert specific behavior. Or, I'm not able to do that, but I can offer you insert alternative. My personal favorite, when you describe their behavior, it makes me feel, describe your emotion. In the future, I need, describe the specific change you're seeking. Are you willing to do that? Can we work together to find a solution that works for both of us? And when someone oversteps a boundary, it's vital to address it calmly and firmly. For more guidance on this, again, check out my episode with Amy Green-Smith about bold boundaries. Remember, setting boundaries is an act of kindness to yourself and to others. It creates clarity, strengthens relationship, and ensures that both parties know what to expect. And always, always, always remember, you do not need to apologize for setting boundaries. You deserve to honor yourself unapologetically. Healing and growth often mean outgrowing parts of yourself or even people in your life. If someone cannot respect the boundaries that you've set, it's worth asking yourself, have I outgrown this relationship? Am I willing to accept their refusal to honor my needs? Or is it time to create some distance? With all of that said, outgrowing others doesn't mean cutting them off immediately. As someone who occasionally leans into avoidant tendencies, I'm not suggesting you abandon relationships at the first sign of trouble. Relationships take work, and some, like family or professional connections, may feel obligatory or difficult to navigate. You're still allowed to outgrow them. Outgrowing can mean redefining the relationship, setting firmer boundaries, or distancing yourself emotionally. Side note, I have an episode and exercise in the works about redefining relationships. Comment and let me know if you're interested or send me a message. I'm happy to get it out earlier if there's a lot of interest or even host a free workshop for everyone who's into it. But whenever possible with redefining or outgrowing relationships, I recommend having an honest conversation first. Use the tools we've discussed here. Let me know if you want a workshop, or you can just revisit that episode with Amy Green-Smith about bold boundaries. Clear communication can provide clarity and closure, even if the relationship ultimately needs to end. Of course, there are exceptions. Sometimes, for your safety or well-being, ghosting or immediately cutting ties might be necessary, especially in cases of abuse. As someone who has experienced an abusive relationship, I entirely understand this reality. For other situations, when you communicate your feelings, needs, and truth, you can walk away from any outcome, positive or negative, knowing that you stayed true to yourself. That act of self-honoring can bring peace to your life. You'll avoid the weight of unsaid words, the constant replaying of situations and conversations, and the regret of holding anything back. Trust me, that is so much better than the alternative. Your growth deserves space to flourish, even if that means leaving behind what no longer serves you to create that space. All of this growth and transformation doesn't have to be in big leaps every day. It's actually about the small and consistent steps along the way. Aiming for just 1% progress each day adds up to an incredible amount of progress over time. Every little tiny bit of growth matters. To help you stay on track, I've created a free accountability club and chat where we can work together on weekly goals. It's a supportive space to keep each other motivated. If you'd like to join or you're interested in a Plan My Monthly Goals video or workshop, comment below or send me a message to let me know. You'll be able to find the link for the accountability group in the episode description. In the next part of this series, Rising, we'll go even deeper into staying motivated and dedicated. We will also be talking about living authentically as the person you aspire to be, embracing self-discovery and continuing to prune areas of your life that no longer serve you, what I call further deadleafing, avoiding the comparison trap and instead focusing on uplifting others, recognizing that someone else's success doesn't take away from your own. We'll also talk about finding uplifting relationships and letting go of those that drain you, while still remaining independent and true to yourself, as well as infusing your life with play, creativity, and fun, making room for joy in the middle of all of the work it takes for growth, healing, and transformation. And as you prepare for the rising season of growth, don't forget to revisit the earlier parts of this series, especially if this is your first time tuning into it. As a reminder, the first is letting go, where we talked about shedding the weight of what holds you back. The next was rebirth, embracing a fresh start. And last, rooting, doing the inner work to establish a strong foundation. Every step of your journey matters, and together we are building the life that you truly deserve. Get ready as we rise into this next chapter of you. I'll see you in the next episode.